person understands reality very differently. And as a result of understanding that reality and assimilating, the intensity of sorrow naturally drops, right? So that means for the wise person, because of that understanding, there is a natural kind of sorrow which is diminishing. So just by artificially diminishing, trying to reduce sorrow without understanding that reality, what will happen? It will lead to suppression. It will lead to a huge outburst one time. Okay? So we are not trying to, please understand, the whole spirituality is not about denial of your emotions. Okay? And the minute you try to deny your emotions, you are creating a huge disorder within you. Okay? So being spiritually evolved does not mean that you have to be not in touch with your emotions. And also not being in touch with your emotions. Okay? So therefore, here that shochanam doesn't come from just artificially reducing or not acknowledging your emotion, but how does this wise person reduce the sorrow? It says, Mahantam Vibhum Atmanam Matva. Okay, one has undergone a major shift in what one understands Atma to be. Okay, our normal understanding of Atma is what? Either as good as the physical body. That physical body is what we call, in Sanskrit, we call it Sthula Sharira. Sthula Sharira means the physical body. Sharira is like an instrument, right? Now the problem is that instrument that is given to you, you start thinking it is I. Okay. Now Sukshma Sharira is what? The subtle body. That subtle body includes what? It's all your, what makes the body alive. Hello. So therefore, there is one thing that our normal understanding is that this physical body is I. Now the wise person understands that what is the nature of Atma? It is Sthula Sukshma Karana Sharira Vyatiriktaha Atma. Okay? It is something which is not as good as the physical body. It is not as good as the subtle body. The subtle body constitutes, it's what we call, what makes the body alive. Okay? So what makes the body alive is, according to the Shastra, we call it Sukshma Sharira. Okay? So that means that there is a physical eye, but the capacity of your eyes to see is Sukshma. So that's why your physical eye remains the same from the time of the birth till now, but the capacity of your eyes undergoes changes, right? So therefore, all these, your mind, that the physical brain is one, but how many different thoughts it has. So that means that whole thing is possible because of Sukshma Sharira. Okay? Now, this is something that most of the people live their life thinking that I am as good as the body and as good as the mind. Okay? Now, there are some people who talk about you being other than physical body and mind, and most of the time then they all ask me, okay, so is this Atma the soul? This is almost always everybody asks me. Okay? So first of all, this word soul, it doesn't exist in our, we don't have an idea called soul. But we do have, because that soul that people are talking about is true. It is other than the physical body and mind. That is common. Okay, but what is not common is that soul going and what resting in some place eternally is not common. Right? We have something called Karana Sharira. Karana Sharira is different from soul. How is it different from soul? How is it different from soul?
Is it the one when you don't realize the truth that you have to be, come back again to the world? That one?
Yes, exactly.
It's the accumulation to the karmas.
Excellent.
We don't understand the full vision, so we have to go back and come back again.
You learn that.
Yes. So that whole causal body, according to, it's a body. As for us, it's not a soul. Please understand. Right? It's a Karana Sharira, and Karana Sharira is, as what constitutes Karana Sharira is what Vandana is saying. All the karmas. The unseen result of your own actions. It's not something else, right? The soul is, if I ask you, in other traditions you have soul, how do you define that soul? What constitutes of that soul?
What I heard that Catholics would, we'd go up and then there would be a judgment day and then we'd all be free from sins or something like that.
See, that's the thing.
So that means has characteristics because it has to be pure or impure. In other traditions, the soul has attributes.
Absolutely. Here, the Karana Sharira does have attributes, right? Because the unseen result of my actions are different from unseen result of your actions.
Yeah.
But it's not like just something which is like an entity. It is what the unseen result of your own actions get accumulated someplace. They don't just disappear. Okay? So that place where that gives continuity. So that means when this physical body and subtle body, one gives up, what is a continuing link? The continuing link is through the causal body, which is Karana Sharira. That will bring another physical body and another subtle body to life to experience what? The world again. Okay. Now, what is Atma according to us? Is it that Karana Sharira? No. It is not that Karana Sharira. Atma is what? It is Sat Chit Ananda Atma. It's a different thing, right? So that means, as Rashna says, until the time, right, we have come to this earth for lifetimes and we have left thinking that I am what? As good as the Sthula and Sukshma Sharira. So that means I haven't figured out what the real nature of Atma is. As long as I haven't figured out, what happens? You keep coming back. You keep coming back, right? Because you accumulate some causal karana in that causal thing, you accumulate an account, and that account will keep on giving you new physical and subtle body. In one lifetime, if you can figure out that I am Atma, which is distinct from all three, not only physical body and subtle body, but also what? The causal body. You have to figure that out, right? So therefore, how, first of all, and that is something, it is not that because Vedanta is saying it, because Upanishads are saying it, you have to believe. There is an inquiry, right? So now we have done that inquiry. So you know why physical body is not I. Give me some reasons. Come on, you all have studied for a long time now. The physical body.
It's not permanent. Changes.
So why, just let me challenge you a little bit. Just because it is changing, why is it not I?
But the I doesn't change.
But why? Who told you? Yeah, who told you?
Yeah. Body, mind and...
Who is observing the change?
Excellent. See, this is something that is so important. Otherwise it becomes like, the Shastra tells me, so therefore there is an observer. Okay, that observer is missed out. So that means the body is observed by me, and what has happened, the observer, which is independent of the observed, is what has happened. What is the nature of mistake? The observed body is taken as the observer. That is a problem. We've lost that distance which is there, because the body constantly undergoes change, but there is an observer. If there was no observer, okay, you will not know the changing condition of the body. Because if I am the body, and if that is changing, who will know? Exactly. The very fact that I am able to observe the changing conditions means I am the constant while the body changes. This is very important. If you don't understand that, you are just like a parrot repeating what Vedanta is saying. Right? The very fact that I observe means that there is an observer.
But again, if you observe, who has said that you brought up that
Yes.
inquiry?
Yes.
Who has said that you are unchanged, the observer?
Yeah. So therefore, now it is very important to understand that who is saying that, right? We are not saying that. So lovely. Right? Now you are changing. I love to have Radhika in my class.
Because she did.
It's like, that's true. Who says it? Right? Absolutely. You need to have that kind of a mind. Otherwise Vedanta becomes mechanical. It just becomes, Shastra is saying I'm permanent, and because I'm permanent, I cannot be this body, because this body is impermanent. So it becomes what? A circular logic and we actually don't understand. Okay, so now what Radhika is asking is a very important question, right? Because with what do I observe the changing conditions of the body? You need a mind. Without mind, you can't figure out the changing conditions of the body. So therefore, before Vedanta, we also assume that I am the mind, right? That is a normal conclusion of the people. Nobody says I am the mind, but whatever is going on in the mind, I say this is what I am. Right? So that means if, for example, I am feeling really, there is a thought of happiness, what do I say? I am happy. There is a thought of sadness, I say I am sad. Right? So therefore, now we have understood that this body is something which is an object of my observation, it is not I. So now I put my I where? In the mind, in the body. If I begin to see that, hey, I am that observer who is seeing different conditions of the body, now I shift my eye from the body till where? To the mind. Please understand.
But the mind is part of the body.
So now the physical brain is part of the body, and the physical brain has the capacity to what? Have these thoughts. Okay. Now, then I shift, because if I make you see that you are observing the body, your sense of I shifts from body to the mind. Now, that mind itself, if I ask you to figure out what it is nothing but thoughts. And who are you? If you were the thought, you wouldn't be able to observe the thought. See, this is the logic. If you miss the logic, what will happen is you'll just blindly accept what Vedanta is saying.
No, I've understood that. Yeah.
So therefore, even the mind, which is acting as an observer of the body, itself is observed.
Is observed.
So now that also goes, that's why we do this Drik, Drishya, Viveka. What is Drishya and what is Drik? What is seen and who is the seer? Right? So therefore, all these different thoughts come and go. If you were as good as the thought, then what? When the thought comes, you come. When the thought goes, you go. Is that true? No. There is a presence which we miss. that presence is independent of what? The physical body, which is an object of observation, and also independent of the mind, which is also what? An object of my observation. And the mind constantly changes, and that what Vandana and I was saying is true, is changing, but the very fact that I come to know the changes means that I precede what? When that thought has come, I am when the thought is there, and when the thought goes, I continue to be there. Only then I can observe what? Coming and going of the thought. Okay, so therefore this presence is something which is independent of the physical body and mind. Now the Karana Sharira, which is our unexperienced karma, is it I which constitutes the Karana Sharira? Is it I? No. Why is it not I?
The kind of body and life you will have will depend on that.
Absolutely. What is the relationship of I with karma? Please analyze. Because Karana Sharira is an accumulation of all different karma. In order to figure out I am not Karana Sharira, you just have to do what? Relationship of I with karma. One karma. If one karma is not I, 100 karma is also not I.
The action is not constant.
Absolutely. And before you perform an action, are you there or not?
Yes.
You're there. After the action is gone, you're still there. So that means this result of that action is only what? That action, are you just that action? No. If you're not the action, you can also not be what? The result of the action. You're free from both. So that means you're also free from Karana Sharira. Then who are you? What is the nature of this observer?
I'm getting a little lost.
Yeah.
This last bit that
What I essentially say is that the I that is there, it is the relationship between the karma and the I. Karma means which we are going to mean a Karan Sharir, accumulated karma.
See, karma only means the action and the result of that action.
So that
Right.
if you are not related, if the I is not connected to one karma, it's obviously not related to accumulation. of
Excellent.
karma. So when you are performing an action, you are there before you perform the action, you are there during, and then after. So how does it so the same thing applies to the result. You are there before the
Absolutely.
result, you are there during the result, and you are there
After the result.
Is
Excellent.
that what you...
Excellent. This is exactly what I mean. That is exactly what I mean.
That's a good explanation.
That's a good explanation, Vandana. Write it down. This is a very good explanation.
Just let us have this.
It's good when you speak what I'm saying in your own words. I know whether you are understanding it or not, right? So you are actually, what Vandana is saying is absolutely right. You're independent of actions and you're also independent of the results. Wonderful.
So the observer is watching your evolution. In
So
other
the
words,
observer,
what action you take will depend on your karma. No, your karmas will depend on what action you take, and what action you take will depend on your state of evolution.
absolutely.
Obviously, your choices will be more clear, more correct, and the paths you
And
take
it's also the
will
decision
be
that
right or wrong,
Yes.
depending on what level of evolution
You have gone through. But all these happen, Radhika, between what? Sthula, Sukshma and Karana Sharira. According to Shastra, Atma is free from all.
Yeah, Atma is free from.
Is it, at
Atma
a
is free.
board,
Totally.
So that
Totally
is what
free.
we say in the beginning, that
Right?
you are already free.
Yeah, so that is, so that means, yes, absolutely. That is the thing.
Free.
But we have to
And,
understand how.
and the teacher, exactly. The teacher only what? Lifts your veils to make you see how you're already free.
So, like she said, you keep coming back until your veils are fully lifted.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Until your veils are totally lifted and you see clearly what is the nature of the universe, what is your nature, what is the nature of the cause of the universe. You see it totally clearly without any of your own additions or subtraction. That is freedom. That is moksha.
how does one reach that state of thinking or feeling that I am that I, which is the observer?
See,
Which is,
see, Vandana, am I talking about feeling? Here I'm just, where is the feeling now? Just even beyond, where is, in fact, you have to challenge, in this question is certain mix up,
yeah.
right? Because what is the locus of feeling? Mind. So that, what have I told you? That mind will have different feelings. It will have, it is just changing and it has to change. You cannot have, if you mix up this knowledge with a constancy of mind, what is happening? You are still connecting to this Sukshma Sharira, I as Sukshma Sharira. The very knowledge comes when you understand the Sukshma Sharira is different from I am the a reality which is independent of Sukshma Sharira.
But I think first you have to go through that stage of intellectualization, like she's saying, where the mind has to understand the knowledge.
Yes.
Then internalize it.
Yes.
That is the hard part.
Absolutely.
That
See,
stage that
internalizing doesn't mean, please understand, what is internalization of this knowledge? What does it mean? Right? Because we always feel that, yeah, I get it, but everything is not
Because
totally.
we are always thinking from the realm of thinking and feeling. We have to, I think what I am understanding now, I may be wrong, is that we have to go beyond the realm of thinking and feeling.
So that means without denying the realm of thinking
Without
and feeling,
denying.
without
Yes.
denying it. That is a very key thing, because there is one fact. If I tell you that this glass seems to be green, right, but it is actually free from being green, is it a fact? Is it a matter of feeling?
No, it's a fact.
It's a fact. Because this is how it is. It's nothing to do with how you feel or you don't feel.
Yeah. But it's.
But we need
I
the
don't
mind
question.
to
But
understand it.
Yeah.
absolutely. So therefore, but the mix-up is so well entrenched, and the attributes of Sukshma Sharira are so much taken as attributes of I. So when I tell you that I is free, what happens? You want Sukshma Sharira to be free from all the things. This is the problem.
Say it again, I didn't understand.
See, your sense of I is so connected to Sukshma Sharira. Here means that aspect which is the mind.
So
Right?
you want it to be free
You want,
from what?
so you want the mind to be free, where actually what is free? Atma,
already free.
it's already, observer is already free. This is after listening to Vedanta, you feel as though, right, that you are not connected, but you want to have what? The feeling of freedom in the mind.
Can I ask you a very personal question?
Yes.
Your waves are all lifted. Yeah, personal. You've understood completely the whole thing. Do you feel that freedom?
See, this is what I say, that once it is understood totally, right, it is understood. It is like 12 o'clock at night. If you ask me what is the nature of this, I'm able to figure out. Right? Now, does it mean, that's a good question, does it mean that my Sukshma Sharira, which is mine, is always in some kind of a constancy?
Yeah. No, it can't be.
Excellent.
It can't be. Not by your
It
inner
cannot be, but because all the thinking and all the inquiry and all the values which the mind has cultivated in order to know this reality, the quality of that mind cannot be the same as anybody else's mind.
Of course not.
So that means the very deep quality of mind changes over a period of time.
Very that.
So which also means that the quality of your choices and actions
That's what
Also change. Absolutely.
and which is what we can at best
Hope for.
achieve.
Correct.
Right?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
your quality of choices,
Yeah.
action, thoughts also.
The challenges.
So your clarity comes.
Because everything anyway starts from the thought.
Yeah.
So if that is our aim,
Yeah.
that is our achievement.
It is.
Yeah.
Basically.
So even when a challenge comes, you just see it differently. You're not
Exactly.
seeing challenge.
Absolutely.
No worries, whatever.
Absolutely.
Get
Right?
bogged down by that trivia.
Now here I want to, that is a very interesting, I'm going to give you an exercise to do. Okay, this is what Surya gets his students to do in his MBA class, and this is a tricky exercise. So I'm very curious what happens, right? So now what Rashna is saying is right, but I want you to become far more nuanced in your thinking, and because whole spirituality is about really becoming finer and finer in your thought processes. Okay, so now I'm going to give you a scenario, and you have to, and I'm going to give you a character and the responses of that character, and you have to analyze whether this is an appropriate response or not appropriate response. It's an interesting story. Yeah, good. So, yeah. So then when Surya presents his story and all these MBAs, the debates go on for like, and heated debates go on, right? So that's, now I'm curious what you have to say. Okay, so now there is this person. I just did it in my previous class, but now that you brought it up, so I'm doing it here also. So there is this man who was doing business. It's a small village. He had a business. Okay. Now what happened is the business has, like so many different variables, and you need to be very alert, and you need to, so and then he was saying, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to be able to deal with all this changing world and different things and all. So I want to simplify my life. So I'm just going to buy one horse. So he sold his business and he bought one horse. And he says, okay, now I'll try to find, I'll try to make my living through this horse. Okay. So what the villagers, how the village life is, everybody is watching what you're doing. So they all have comment about what you are doing. Okay. So what did you think that the village people said?
What a silly man giving up his business.
So, right? The villagers said, what a silly man. This guy has given up and he's what a horse. What is he going to do with this horse? Right? So then, and the man says, whether it's good or bad, who knows? The man. Okay? Now, he started using this horse for something, and then what? He started making some money. So now what the villagers said? He's a smart guy. Right? That, look at this. He has just all these jhanjat with business and all. He has given up, and now and then he's making money. So he's so good. He's so smart. And the man says, whether it is good or bad, who knows? Then what happened is that one day the horse ran away. So what did the villagers say? How stupid this man is, right? He has no brain at all, right? And the man says what? Whether it is good or bad, who knows, right? Then what happened is, after 10 days, his horse came back with 5 more horses. So what did the villagers say? Wow! Exactly. So that means, and the man says what? Who knows? Who knows, right? And the man says whether it's good or bad, who knows, right? Then one day his son was riding the horse and he fell down. And then he injured his leg. What did the villagers say? And the man says, absolutely. So then the man says what? Good or bad, who knows? Then that village was part of one kingdom, and the king of that kingdom had a fight with another king, right? And they were coming to recruit all the young people for the army. And this man's son, because he had fallen down and injured his leg, was not selected to be in the army. So what did the villagers say? And what did this man say? Good or bad, who knows, right? So the story goes on. Now you have to debate. This guy who's talking about good or bad, who knows, is it this state of being, is it desirable or not? And if yes, why yes? And if no, why not?
It is good, it is desirable according to
Yes.
I think he had
Sounds like the
feeling
true
of
I, the realization.
I feel that he's left it to his. I'm looking at it totally differently. He says good or bad, who knows? Means you're leaving it to the divine.
Surrender.
And you surrender totally, correct. And you leave it to the divine, he knows best what is good for you.
It's like a metaphor.
It's like a silent
That is the
spectator.
consciousness and the mind is all these villagers. That's how I'm seeing it.
Wow, Rachna is
This, that, this, minds keep going.
my God. You see, she's.
I don't know.
No. I want you to think about it. Really, it's a very important exercise. So all of you are for it?
For the man's thinking.
For the man's thinking?
I'm still thinking. I'm also still thinking.
I'm trying to think a smart answer. It must be a smart answer.
Exactly. It's a trick. Absolutely. There's a smart answer to this. It's not as simplistic as it sounds. Please. Yeah.
Haven't you
No,
told
it
us
is
that when we do
difficult.
any karma, any
Yes.
action, we have to take it through, see all the details.
Wonderful, Rashna. Wonderful, Rashna. Very, very important.
Not using his intellect.
No, he's not using his choices,
Yeah,
analyzing
yes.
the situation and then making a wise decision.
Oh, that's.
See that free will, so important.
Free will and the silent spectator.
The using of see in this story, I haven't really told you. See, in order to even to say whether this is a wise way of looking at it or not, you need a lot more information.
Yeah. So we are
Right?
not wise.
So why do we give up his business?
You should be asking.
Yes, why do we ask?
Say, before I make this decision of whether he's actually wise or not, now you tell me, now you have to do this exercise. What information you need to ascertain whether he's wise or not?
Yeah. Why did he give up his business?
Excellent, excellent. The first question you will ask is, why did he give up his business?
He
Right?
was fed up. Just
So that-
because he had challenges or fed up.
Absolutely.
Challenges will
Right?
everywhere.
Absolutely. Right? Because, wonderful.
You
Did he?
cannot run away from challenges.
No, second thing is, what did he know about horses?
Excellent.
That he took.
Why a horse? Why not a pig?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Wonderful. Right? You need to, this whole thing you have to understand, because otherwise you'll create.
Question.
That means everything that you do, as she says, you have been given this free will and you have to learn to use it wisely. Just like whatever happens is for good, it doesn't make you a wise person.
Because actually our philosophy is very two-edged on this.
Yes.
That it says that when you talk about
Unfortunately,
but there is a mind choice. I've not been mind mindlessly.
see, the thing is, our philosophy is very clear, Radhika. Unfortunately, people paint a picture that this is wisdom.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Attached to the results.
So that means this is a wrong message
But
given.
it's not using your choices.
Choices appropriately. Absolutely.
Oh,
He has made a choice. He has, but
choice, what sort of choice? Thinking through it.
absolutely, absolutely. So that means
You have to
you
make a choice in anything, right?
absolutely,
Even if you're doing this-
absolutely. Please understand that. You know, that means he has made that choice, but in order for you to ascertain how wise he is, you need to ask, hey, what information did he have about horses? Did he look at the situation which is in his business accurately? If he's afraid of challenges, even when he bought a horse, there is going to be a challenge, right? So are you trying to run away from challenges, or are you trying to find out the ways to meet with those challenges?
My mind
So that means
goes through the decision making and then says who knows it is
that is a problem. So that means
Nobody
No,
then,
even while
And then there's the result.
Radhika, when the horse ran away,
Yeah.
he had to go find the horse. He can't sit and say, oh, okay, now.
and you
और
also
वापस भी आ गया पार्ट लेके
What
best to sit like that.
no what no, it's not. See, the thing is,
No, we don't know. We don't know that he went to look for the horse.
I don't know what.
now before you also, then let's take step by step and see whether each of his responses, in order to decide whether they are appropriate or not, what more information you need, right? In the first, like how you said, okay, you need to think about, so why did he want to give up this work? Then why he chose horse against everything else, right? And what research did he do? What did he know about horse, right? And did he actually realistically assess what the what horse can do, right?
Did he earn any money through a horse or a cow?
Absolutely. Did he do all of that, right? That will then also what account for wisdom. Before you decide whether he is wise or not wise, you need answers to these questions. In the second thing, when the horse ran away, what is the information that you need to know?
Was he getting
Why did the horse run?
Why did the horse?
Did he actually create, fence it properly?
Yeah.
This is all free will. We totally disregard. The intelligent living is not some, just whatever you do and with some half awareness and half.
For himself, leaving the free will. Everything that musibat kar karke we do nothing.
No, but that is.
Just live like that.
That is a flip side, I agree.
That is.
What was happening to him? His good karma was coming back.
And even that is also true. That somewhere you are also that is playing a role. Good bad is happening.
See, this is the thing. Because this karma, the way it works, what situations happen is what the unseen result of your choices. So if you give up choices, what will happen?
Then that's it. Then what? Nothing can happen.
That means that no. That means that when you give up those choices and you become passive, you don't use this faculty appropriately, and then what happens is that you absolutely. See, when you don't use your faculty,
You'll end up making robot. इसीलिए बना रहा था कुछ.
so passivity is also about choice of inaction when you also have to perform an action.
Consequence of inaction.
Yes.
Consequence of inaction is what you are a complete underachiever.
Absolutely.
When you have to intervene, and if you don't intervene, right, there is a papa attached to that, because papa is an inappropriate. See, for example, if somebody is physically abusing somebody and you don't use your free will, inactivity, passivity, it's his karma, it's his playing this karma, and you don't actively intervene and you do what you have to do within your sphere of influence. It's not like every other fight you have to go and you have to start being this, not at all. But in appropriate situations, when you are expected of doing something and if you don't play your part, what happens?
You are still creating karma.
You are creating,
taking wrong
absolutely.
karma then.
Because when you are, in small situations, a lot of times people tell me that, let's say that somebody says that when my spouse, I don't want to say husband or wife, is really getting really angry with my kids, then I am so fearful that I don't stand up and I don't intervene. So that is inaction. And that inaction is what the child needs to be protected.
Yeah.
And when you don't, and you happen to be there, and if you don't do what needs to be done, then what? This is something that you have to do. Some things you may not know, that you can't do, right? Some things you don't know. But when things are there and you choose to ignore and you take to this, that's why I said, Free will means what? Kartum shakyam, akartum shakyam, anyatha va kartum shakyam. When I have to do something and if I don't do it, I am responsible. And when I don't have to do something and I do it, that is also I am responsible.
Can be positive.
That we're all
You know,
So these are the choices we have.
choices you have.
very should be.
You don't have
I'm
to.
not there when you.
No, I don't. She's just saying.
Sorry?
No, I said that. Okay.
And we're just debating about, even if you don't have to do it and you do it, it can be a positive thing as well. It doesn't
So-
necessarily have to be negative, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, but that means you have to find the right time and the right intervention. I mean, at least you have to spend time. Whether you get it right or not, because there are so many unknown variables, you can never know whether what you have thought, but at least you have to give it a thought. So that means your whole choice, that faculty of choice, you have to start to use it wisely.
And that gets honed with your evolution.
Yeah,
And you get then the karmas
absolutely.
accumulate accordingly.
Absolutely. Right? The karmas accumulate accordingly, and that's what defines whether you are an evolved person or not. Who is an evolved person? Who could
Enlightens.
absolutely.
Think clearly.
Yeah, think clear. Absolutely. Thinking, yeah, you're good. You know, all these achievers, they are all sattvic people in some ways.
Somebody like an achiever, like a Bill Gates,
Yeah,
would be definitely more evolved.
Oh yes.
absolutely.
Yeah, he's such a
Absolutely. You know, to even start a business and to bring it to that level, you can't just. That's the
Without
problem.
creating such ill will by creating such a big
Yeah.
business.
Absolutely.
You can create
And-
a big business and create ill will with so many people.
People,
But with
absolutely.
Bill Gates, people look up
To
to
him,
and say,
absolutely.
look at what he's done.
Absolutely.
For that matter, even Steve Jobs, and look at what they have done and created for the world. In their own way, they have done so much for the world and given so much back to society.
Absolutely.
Totally selfless.
And even that shift within him, right? That from being an extremely smart businessman to this whole philanthropy. I mean, that whole thing is just, it's huge.
Because he's smart enough to see that to make it.
Absolutely.
Even for the children, he's not leaving money.
Then-
He's
Yeah.
action for them because it will spoil them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have to own it.
So that means,
Absolutely.
so that means these interventions are very important. Otherwise,
Result, who knows?
result, who knows? Exactly. So that means there is a positive side to this story. The story is not only black and it's not, so that's, I want you to become that sharp thinker. Neither to come to this thing that, oh, this man was stupid, nor to think that, oh, this is the right way to live.
Correct. Constantly question and constantly think.
Now, I want you to look into this, the next stage, where his son fell down and he said, who knows whether it is good or bad? Do you see wisdom here or not? No. Why?
Because the son could have died. I mean,
Yeah, how can it be? How can you take such a complacent attitude by saying that good or bad my son and whether he's fallen is good or
But
bad?
if you look at it, but even if he has 5 horses, why should the son not learn riding? Children fall all the time.
No, that's true.
Even if they learn, you can fall.
Yeah, exactly. Now, one thing is very important, but when,
Yeah.
Is what?
Yeah, but children fall and learn.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but what he's saying is good or whether he fell off the horse and then whether it's good or bad. How can you
So
be
we
so
don't know
confident?
the situation in which the boy said.
Yes, that is the thing. We have to question that, absolutely.
and the intensity, right? Because otherwise it will create.
That situation.
So that means that is something which is important with reference to emotions, right? Certain situations will produce emotions. You can't avoid. You can't.
Don't you think he's very evolved to have avoided the emotion?
No. Because what happens
That
is,
is what she started
see,
by
that is
saying,
what
that
I'm saying is,
spirituality doesn't mean denying your emotions.
see, that is the thing. See, when you have emotion, right? And then you're creating this whole thing about, oh, I have, because I'm spiritual, right? I have to have this equanimity. What happens?
You're suppressing
Yes,
your
You're suppressing your
And it
emotions.
comes out in some disease.
And then it comes out in some other way. So therefore, to recognize, and in fact, sometimes it's interesting. Recently, a friend of mine's child had a fall, and he was quite badly injured, right? So the father is telling his wife that, oh, you have to show that you're strong, and you don't have to, whatever. But from the person, so she was saying, yeah, but I'm feeling bad. How can I just go to, and then just go like, just all totally composed and all. And what was the child thinking?
The mother doesn't feel anything.
So the child before even before the mother came, the child said, I don't want to show my face to my mom, so she'll be so upset. So that means the child already knows that what is a corresponding emotion. The natural emotion is that of being upset. Now imagine if the mother went totally composed like a rock. What would the child think? My mother doesn't care for me. My mother doesn't love me.
But how you show that emotion?
So that means, how do you then show that emotion without getting total? Exactly. That is what we call maturity. It's not aborting emotions. It is expressing without taking out the drama. That whole big drama that we create, that she's, oh, now he's going to be like this forever, and this whole big drama, the stories we tell, and this whole feeling of helplessness we get into, that drama we can reduce. But there is a corresponding emotion which is a healthy emotion. The child needs to see that.
So spirituality doesn't mean that you deny that emotion.
Excellent.
Even the sadhus and all these Paunchawa people don't deny their emotion.
They don't. Unfortunately, Radhika, the whole spirituality has become distorted.
It is. That's what you begin. That's how she started saying. They would see,
Unfortunately,
So we don't know what they are running away from.
What is the level of...
No,
I'm
that is
assuming-
no alag hai, but
हाँ.
what they have ran away from and gone in the Kumbh Mela and stood in the sand or gone to the caves or whatever, right? We don't know. I'm saying they could be evolved or they might be running away.
Yeah. I'm assuming a person who has attained that state. Okay, say Swami Dayanand.
he to was.
What state, how would he react?
So that means that out of all these understandings, see, he was very, very clear about the place of emotions. He is the one he kept telling us that any spirituality which makes you believe that emotions are your enemies or there are negative emotions is not a real spirituality.
That's very interesting because you have a completely different view of what
You.
spirituality should be, that you should be detached from it. It shouldn't, affect you. You should
That's how
understand.
my first thought was.
Yeah.
Spirituality means distance.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It means detachment.
Detachment.
Yeah. All this has to be not part of your life. You have to be above it all.
Yeah.
This is not at all.
Yeah, it has to be, you
So-
have to be above all.
Yes.
So then you have evolved, and then you're jnani, and then you're wise.
Yeah, this is unfortunate because it does a lot of disservice. Just recently, one of my friends, she told me that I think when a lot of people hear this so-called detachment and this and that, they are so sincere. They try to practice, this detachment and all, and not show the emotions and all. And she says, I know one case of this person who was very sincerely trying to do it, and the child is destroyed. Because imagine you have a parent, one of the parents whose whatever happens is just kind of, there is no corresponding emotion. Even in happiness is like the child, there is no celebration because I have to be what?
How can that be?
Yeah, a child needs that.
Forget the interaction consequences.
See the
Absolutely.
key word,
For yourself,
the key
then-
word that Ima
Yeah, it's a
has
selfish way.
corresponding emotion.
There is a corresponding emotion.
That's what I said. You forget
Yeah.
that you're interacting with people and how
There has to be-
that has to be appropriate.
Exactly.
You're only thinking of yourself, a selfish way of looking at things.
But it's not even selfish, it's just, it's going against, please understand, it's not selfish, it's going against the design of the universe.
Beautifully put.
You are trying to go against the design of the universe. You have to navigate what? Within the design of the universe.
So everything is a balance. You
Absolutely.
do drama, but you don't suppress
But you
it.
don't suppress it.
So learning
So that means,
to get through the universe is a balance.
absolutely.
Balancing act.
So balancing means that the very thing which itself is healthy, there is a distortion which walks in. So your ability to what? Detect that distortion and to bring it in line. That is, you really live life fully.
Well, that's Sthita Prajna.
So that person is Sthita Prajna. Sthita Prajna means
Sthita Prajna. There is an equanimity of the mind,
but equanimity doesn't, it's in wisdom, it's not this equanimity that I'm talking, in this example. Please understand. That is so important. Because that Sthita Prajna is construed by people as this person who is just like indifferent to everything. And that is so simplistic.
It is true.
So that is true.
I have understood.
You've understood that, right?
Because it's all in the Gita, I think. and
It
it's
is
so
in the Gita.
misinterpreted.
But
It is
absolutely.
The wise man, that whole chapter we did it.
Yeah.
You know, the qualities of the wise man.
Yes.
And that it comes there.
Absolutely.
And that's where the Gita is so misinterpreted.
I
Everybody
think
puts
perhaps
their
one of the
own-
most misinterpreted, misunderstood books.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think so. Because everybody tries to give it their
It
own
is such a beautiful book. It is just incredible, the wisdom. But you need to have that subtlety, and your teacher needs to have that subtlety to make you understand all these nuances. Otherwise, you just, and not only you don't rightly understand, but you try to live your life by it. And then so many people
Get affected.
affected as a result.
Miscommunication and relationships get distorted.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so very right.
But Gita teaches us the path of moderation, right?
Yeah,
First
but
principle.
yes.
Never be an extremist.
Yeah, but it is that, there is a lot of and see, it is not like, okay, now I should avoid what is appropriate in that given situation.
Krishna told Arjuna
what is right at that time.
extremism.
Yeah.
He told him that was extreme what he told Arjuna to do.
No.
But there were so many
Yes.
which
You've got to be rules of mother, rules of
He was right at that time.
Yeah, at that
was
time.
extreme.
Absolutely.
But
So
he
he had to. Absolutely.
But
Right?
it was completely right at that time.
It was
So
absolutely.
it's not all moderation.
Yeah.
See, that exactly, that cannot become the rule. Wonderful.
You do the action and then
So this is such a
result is
general
not gonna
teaching, I said, not every
In that case,
situation.
So that means it's far more that your mind has to become subtle and nuanced. Okay, and more questioning and open mind you have, the more you will get Gita right. Okay, because otherwise you will walk away with misconceptions, right? So now the thing is that what is the nature of Atma then? It says Ashariram Sharireshu. So it is what? Distinct from the physical, subtle and causal body. But where is it? Is it totally? Absolutely. The relationship is Satyam and Mithya. Extremely important to understand. Otherwise, what you want to try to, some Atma which is hanging loose up somewhere. Right? So therefore, Satyam Mithya relationship you must understand. Otherwise, you just don't get Vedanta. Okay? So that means this observer, the awareness, okay, is independent of the body. Awareness in Sanskrit is called Chit. Right? So you hear this Sat, Chit, Ananda, Atma. Okay? This awareness which you actually miss out. It is Sat and Chit. What is the nature of that awareness? That awareness is, first, not confined to this body. Even if you say, I'm distinct from the physical body, mind, sense complex, you still give location to this awareness. What is the location that you give to this awareness? It is within the body. So in order to remove that, what it says, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. Anantam means what? It is something which is limitless. It doesn't have a location. This awareness, which is distinct, which is an observer, is not something which is what? Particular or inside your body. That's a huge knowledge. Okay? How do you come to that? To the inquiry. What is the logic? Now you first tell me, what is the logic that you use?
Dependent.
Yes.
Okay. Now, yeah, that is, it comes little later, but this awareness is limitless. It is not confined to your body. There is another logic that we use. You free it from physical location. How? We did that also.
So if you say that it is there and here, we are dividing it into so many spaces,
You're limiting
then limiting it, that means it's limited. That means it's not limited.
Yeah. But how do you know that it is not like that?
That example of the glass space.
Excellent.
The space and the glass.
Glasses, there may be shapes and sizes, space within. You think it's only confined to that, but it's actually the whole.
Wonderful. Right? So that is what Rashna is saying is only, see, understand one thing. One thing you must, and I'm becoming more and more refined with your class because you people are very smart, right? So I want you to, so just because, see, I'll count. What you are saying is absolutely right. Right? But no, 1 second. What Rashna is saying is absolute, and this is an example I have used, but if I can say that is true with space, right? The space is, this seems like glass space, cup space, that seems like glass space. So then this seems like room space. But in reality, how many spaces are there?
Infinite.
One.
It's only one space. Only one undivided space which appears to be many. Appears to be divided of different sizes, different shapes, but actually it is one. Right? Now I can ask you, it's true with reference to space, but because it is true with reference to space, how is it true with reference to this awareness?
How do you know?
It is true with reference to space is true, but how do you know that it is also, yeah, absolutely. It's also true with reference to awareness. Vedanta is not as easy as it seems. Please. What is the logic?
No, I mean, we've been through it, but I'm trying to
I don't
recall
remember
what it is.
Yeah, because the question is, how do we know?
Yeah. How do you know?
We know there is an awareness because it's the only thing which is Mithya. So you know that awareness exists. Because
It's not the connect of the Mithya.
It's not the Mithya.
So now, right now, just answer my question. You are telling me which is the right thing, right? That the space is one. I will ask you a counter question that space is one, I understand, but because space is one, can you say awareness is also one? What kind of logic is this?
Mithya says awareness is there. We know there is an awareness because Mithya establishes that.
Very deep.
But how to take up that awareness is also.
Because otherwise you're just swallowing things without ever understanding anything.
Why did we swallow this from
No, I haven't made you swallow. I have explained.
to tell her why
I have explained.
This is the thing.
You have to swallow.
Otherwise,
We really like a school teacher who teaches us everything.
So you're close. Now then what?
Otherwise, my awareness, your awareness, her awareness will become different.
So then how will it be?
So then, how is it? No.
So awareness is equal to.
So everyone's awareness is different. Then what does it
The
depend
knowledge,
on?
right? So it is.
So what does it depend on? My awareness and your awareness.
Am I right?
What you're saying is right, but how do you arrive at that?
What did she say?
No, what she.
Yeah, so if there are so many different awarenesses, then logically the whole thing falls through, right?
That's true, but then why do you want to prove the Shastra right? If there are many awarenesses, and if Shastra is saying there is only one awareness, why should you accept what Shastra is saying? My question is the other way.
Attributes.
Wonderful.
Attributes.
Wonderful. She's right.
But because it's got no attributes.
So now one minute, right? Now if I tell you that where are the attributes? The physical body has attributes, right? And there I can say your physical body is different, my physical body is different. They are attributes. Why? Because your height is different from my height, your color is different from my color. So there we say, okay, now your body is different from mine. Your mind is different from mine. How do you know? You have different set of skills. I have different skills. You have different strengths. I have different strengths. So therefore, the mind is different. Our Karana Sharira is also different because I have done different actions for which I have to experience a result. You have done different actions. So that is all different. Now, if I have told you that you are the observer and this is all observed, okay, what attribute, understand this, what she's saying, what attribute would you give to my awareness after having separated it from the physical body and mind, which you will give, which will then say, because of which you can say, my awareness is different from your awareness.
Yeah, there is no attribute.
There is no attribute. There is no attribute.
Yeah.
In order for you to prove to me that there are two awarenesses, you have to say, my awareness is pink and your awareness is blue. It has to be different.
It's according to our.
So that means just logic. Once I show you that logic, then I can give that space example to make you see, right? But if I just because space is like that, doesn't make awareness like that. People use examples to prove something, but that example doesn't prove Atma.
So that means that awareness has attributes?
No attributes.
That is why awareness. That is
Same as your awareness.
It differentiates it because it has no attribute which is differentiating. So if it had a differentiating attribute like my body has, then my skin color is different to yours, my height is different to yours. So then you can say that my body is different. But the attribute has no difference. It has no character, it has no attribute. Like
Awareness has no attributes.
so
No attributes.
It has to be the same. There can be nothing.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
You said that to
I
us.
said that.
Explained it very
Very
So you really have to draw it.
Yeah.
Because the knowledge is so vast and over the years
It's
we've
embedded
done it so
somewhere
many
in all
ways. And
You draw it up. That's it.
You have to draw out the right part. Then otherwise you think, I understand, I've heard this before. But you haven't really,
There's no
So I haven't.
And you have to experience it also.
so you have to hear it again and again.
You have to hear it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is the thing.
Right? So therefore, Upanishads are saying there is only one Atma and you have no logic to contradict what it says. Because if you were to prove that it is wrong, you have to show what attribute. Why is it? Why two
So that means
Atmas?
Atma also has no attribute, is what you're trying to
Atma is no attribute.
That's the.
Atma
It is
awareness.
Sat,
Correct.
Chit, Ananda. So that means Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. Brahma, Atma is Brahman. Brahman is big, limitlessly big. Okay. What is the nature of this limitlessly big Atma? It is, which actually what in our awareness, it's not even there. Other than physical body and mind, do you know that there is Atma? You don't even know. So that means that Sat, it is. What is the nature of that isness? It is awareness, and that Sat and Chit, that awareness has no limitation. Now, there is a second nuance to that, and that is a very important nuance, and that means you feel that you have understood what Atma is by understanding that this Atma is this awareness which is all pervading. Okay. Now, the second question is, what is the relationship of this all-pervasive awareness to Sharira, to the body? What is the relationship?
For the body to be alive.
Excellent. This is where we say Satya Mithya relationship. That is a dependency.
Okay. Just explain that again.
So I will explain it again. Right? So that means it says Ashariram Sharireshu. Ashariram means it is that awareness which is independent of the body, but what is the relationship of the body with that awareness?
Dependent.
It has a dependent reality. Okay? So therefore, what we did is this whole thing about you have to understand what Satya Mithya relationship. It starts with something very easy, and it starts with, let's say, now first I have to define what is Satyam, and then I have to define what is Mithya. Okay? Satyam is that which has independent existence, and Mithya is that which has a dependent existence. Okay? So now all our transaction that we do in this world, we start by taking this table as the reality. So we give it what status? Satyam. What Vedanta Shastra says, it is Mithya. How? Why is it Mithya? Because it shows us that this table is there, but it has a dependent reality. Dependent on what? Wood. If I take out the object, which is wood, show me an object called table. It's not there. Okay? So our teacher used to say this is something important. He says, when our language is, we call it what? Wooden table. So that means 1 minute. So it's the opposite. Our language is, this is wooden table. In this language, wooden table becomes a noun, and wooden becomes what? An adjective. When it is an adjective, a noun exists without adjective or not? Yes. But what is the reality? Does the table exist without the wood? No. So our whole language is misconstrued. Because our understanding of reality is misconstrued. We give more reality to the form than the content. The content is Satyam. The content gets missed out, and what gets more importance is the form. Right? So therefore, in my vision, this table becomes Satyam, and the wood, which is really the Satyam, is missed out. So Mithya seems like Satyam. This is the big problem in this world. Okay? Now, this wood itself has a dependent reality or an independent reality? Dependent reality. Dependent on what? The tree. Okay. So now, this table is mithya. Then, with reference to the table, wood is satyam. Now, the wood itself becomes mithya and tree becomes satyam. Now, is the tree satyam? No. It has a dependent reality. Dependent on what? On the seed, on the water, on the sun. So it has the entire thing has a dependent reality. Now the seed itself, what does it depend upon?
It depends on the
Particles,
Atoms and
on
particles.
the
Absolutely. Right? So that means there is a form within form, within form, within form, within form. Right? And the whole thing is what has a dependent reality. But how do we live in this world? Thinking that what it is the reality. So therefore, this whole thing is, the whole jagat is mithya. Now, what applies to the wood also applies to every other object in the universe. Because from this table itself we went to the tree. And tree also is mithya. It all goes down to what? Atoms and particles. What is true with reference to this body? Body is the same. It's the same thing. Okay? Anitya. Anitya. Mithya means, mithya has a dependent reality. And it is dependent upon so many things, and all those things are constantly changing. This is what we mean by anitya.
Constantly
Changing. Yeah. That not only it's mithya, but when it seems as though it is a stable entity, but actually what? At a cellular, there are at atomic level, they're constantly changing.
erosion,
Yeah,
whatever,
all that.
like the cells in the
Absolutely. Right? Anything which is mithya is also anitya.
So what's nitya?
So therefore, what is nitya? So now, this body is what? Also mithya.
Nitya.
Right? It is mithya, it has a dependent reality, dependent upon atoms and particles and all. And then, so if everything is anitya, what is nitya? Atma. Absolutely. So this is the thing, right? Because Atma. It is absolutely. Now, this whole thing is, what is very interesting is, how do you make that connection? It's very important, because the connection is that
What did you say? You like to connect.
so that means what she's saying is right, but how do you arrive at it? See, the whole thing is you can give a right answer, but you have to arrive at it rightly. Yeah, things are changing, it's true, but if everything has a dependent reality, right, then what Radhika is asking that if you have a dependent reality, by definition what you are saying, it is dependent upon something else. Right? So that means it does something else. So ultimately there has to be Satyam. Satyam is that which is independently, absolutely. So what is that ultimate thing which is the Satyam upon which every form depends? And that is what she is saying, it is Atma. That one thing which remains, which is independent of objects, and that is this awareness. It all resolves in awareness. But how do you know that? Yeah, that is also very important. The answer is right, but you need to logically arrive at it. Because otherwise, because Shastra is saying, you are taking it. So now I have also explained to you. So now you have to explain.
One would be your own experiences of your life.
See, your experiences of life can also be very limiting.
Your experience.
In your dreams and when you're awake, when you're sleeping, when your thoughts, it's always there, something like that.
Consciousness and
Yeah, deep sleep,
subconsciousness, you're in that deep awareness in those different stages of consciousness.
It's like when you get up from your sleep, something knows that you've had a good sleep.
Okay, great. Now, but how do you know that the entire universe? Now, see, here we are talking about the whole universe. We are not talking about me, little me. Right? You are talking about the table collapses into atoms and particles. The trees collapse into atom and particle. Body collapses into atoms and particles.
Nothing's permanent.
Your body, one second, your body collapses into atoms and particles. Your body collapses into, the faraway star collapses into atoms and particles. The galaxies collapse into atoms and particles. The Milky Way, right? So that means, look at the magnitude of things. We are not just talking about, please understand, what Vedanta is saying is not some small...
Galaxies and
Excellent. It also, as Rashna says, it also includes time and space. That is why it is the Anantam. The magnitude, you have to understand what Vedanta is talking about is not some small thing that it is talking about.
For our minds also it's too much.
Right? So therefore, what you have to do is, right, just as you collapsed every object into atoms and particles, all these objects which are what? Nothing but atoms and particles, they exist within what? Time and space framework.
Can you define the Atma? Can you see it?
So, 1 minute. Right? So this time and space itself is absolute, or it has a dependent reality or an independent reality? Dependent reality. For a long time, science believed, the whole Newtonian physics is what? Time and space is absolute and everything which exists within time and space is relative. What did Einstein do? It showed that the very time and space itself is relative. It is not absolute. Right? So when the time and space itself is relative, how do you know? I mean, there are all these experiments, but the simple way that even before Einstein described that, the rishis knew. When you say that at time and space, Atma is Satyam, what she is saying, so that means even time space is Mithya. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. Jagat means what? Time space object. That is called Jagat, universe. Okay? Now, there is a way, just as we broke this down and I showed you it is Mithya, it's not because Shastra says it is Mithya, it has a dependent reality. I will also show you with reference to time and space. Okay? Time. What is time?
Constant moving,
The time, sorry? Yeah, exactly. Right? Time is generally, we think about it as what? 11:30 is the class. That is what, in terms of this, that's our understanding of the time, this hour, the 11. Okay? Now 1 hour is how many, is it one real solid unit? It is what? 60 minutes. 1 minute, 60 seconds. Then 1 second. Yeah. Right? 1 second is what? Microsecond, millisecond, nanosecond. And the whole is just what? Units within units, within units, within units, within units, and what? Infinite units within units. There is one presence on which what? All these units are formed. That presence. That is Atma. Okay? Space. What is this space? Space generally, the way we define space is what? The distance between two objects. Okay, so you are in space at that point and I'm in space at this point, and then what? There is a distance. What is the distance between me and Radhika? 3 feet or whatever. Right? Now, even that unit you break down again. It is what? Between, this is mathematics, right? It just collapses. That between a finite distance, how many points are there? Infinite. You can go on dividing and dividing and dividing. So that means time is a concept upon that presence. Space is a concept. All the objects, right? You go to quantum physics. After a point, there are no real objects. They're only concepts. Any quantum physicist will tell you. That's why they listen to Vedanta with an awe. Okay? So therefore, what is now the relation? Everything we have collapsed into a concept. What is and what is the only one thing which is remaining in this whole thing, which is this awareness? Now you just have to understand what is the relationship between concept and awareness.
Now we're going down every stage.
Can the concept exist without awareness? No. But the awareness does not without. Satyam mithya. Ashariram sharireshu. While it is independent of the body is what? Dependent on this Atma. That's why it becomes limitless.
Beautiful.
Every time you hear it is, it is.
Blown my mind away.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Because this is our Shastra. They are not me. They are,
Without telescopes and magnifying glasses.
But the way she's explained
This-
Quantum physics they still can't understand.
they're looking, they're looking for the God particle.
The God particle.
Yeah. They all look.
They're still looking for the God particle. Yeah, the God particle.
Now they have in France that collider, That's fine. That to collide the particle and find the God.
And then Ishvara's connection another time.
So Ishvara's connection, yes, she keeps asking me, and it's a very important connection. Because without Ishvara, Rashna, the whole Vedanta is not complete. It's not complete. If you really want to understand Vedanta completely, you need to bring in Ishvara. Why do you need to bring in Ishvara? You need to bring in Ishvara because you have to ask this question: who created this planet? Who created? Absolute. No, not awareness. Yeah, good. Now at least I am good. Is this Satyam? Is Mithya?
I know what you're saying. I know.
See, I'm thinking the whole concept of Shiva and Shakti, that consciousness is always there, but
It has a power to manifest. It has a power, Shakti, the power to manifest as Jagat.
is what is
With reference, see, energy, Vandana, exists within time and space. Don't use this word of, it's a very common word people use. This energy is not Ishvara. Please understand, energy is an object within universe. This energy is something which exists within time and space.
Energy is also dependent on something.
Yes, absolutely. 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 So this is a new age word.
Shakti, the consciousness and the Shakti.
And it has that capacity to manifest. With reference to that capacity to manifest, you give it a name called Ishvara.
But does it manifest with the approval of somebody? It sounds crazy.
So that
Consciousness.
So all that Ishvara I will talk in detail. It's something that you need to. It's a different topic.
Can you not do it
If I don't.
class because I want to be not there next class.
Don't do it before, but it's again.
This class, but this requires a lot of looking into, because Ishvara you can't just
Last time also I missed the Ishvara talk. But please don't do it next week. Yeah, so please don't do it next week.
right? So now this verse we have completed, which is Ashariram Sharireshu Anavasthiteshu Avasthitam. Everything else is mithya. Mithya means it not only has a dependent reality, it also is anitya, as she says. It's constantly changing. There is one unchanging reality, which is what? This awareness. Anavasthiteshu avasthitam. Mahantam vibhum atmanam. Matva dhiraha na shochati. Okay. What is the nature of this awareness? Mahantam. Mahantam means without any limits. Vibhum is like space which has no limits, no boundaries. Knowing this Atma, which is me, that is not some X thing which is like that. Dhiraha, wise people, what for them, grieving is gone. Because their equations of life have changed completely. They act from and they operate from a different understanding of what is.
That is when you mean wise and not detached.
That is exactly. This, perfect Anjali. This is a wise person, not detached person is a wise person. And who's trying to control all the emotions and say, oh no, I should not be, and I should have that artificial equanimity. That's not why, there is no wisdom there.
Correct.
Wonderful.
So either you're trying to control events or trying to control emotion.
and you get nowhere. Yeah.
Like we say, let's stop the war, I want to get off.
And this is exactly, Surya does one module, and at Alibag we are going to do that module. This whole tendency to control.
When is it in
I don't know
Alibag?
anything.
11, 12, 13th March.
March.
March. Yeah, you must come. Yeah.
It's a totally different.
Where in Alibag is it intense?
It will be at Avas Beach Resort. You know Lina Mukhi.
Mango. She has that mango. She has 2 resorts there.
Okay. So one of the resorts will be.
Yeah.
Mango.
You can stay at my place.
And there are enough places for everyone to stay.
How far is Avas Beach from Chirag?
Very
Is
close.
Shona
Very close.
Is Shona coming?
I don't know whether she's going to be around.
I'm worried about everybody staying. I can try to then go. Dormitory will become otherwise.
No, I don't know.
I can offer anybody to stay.
I have a house, but it is closed.
But she has a house and that mango. I'll close. Yeah, I will just close. I will just close because the video is. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.